What did
Uh,
you do?
I like how you said, "What did you do?" as if I was doing something illegal or bad. Yeah, so I sit on the board of directors, enabling care for those with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Is you don't want to be the smartest person in the room. There's going to be plenty of those. Be the one with the most common sense.
Welcome to another episode of In the Chair with. Today we are in the chair with Maverick Smith. This is a band based out of the Pittsburgh area, but members from three different states, and we'll talk about that soon. We have Paige Bosick and Sean Boynes joining us today. So thank you for joining me in the chair with Maverick Smith, y'all.
Yeah, thanks for having
Thank
us.
you very much.
Uh, just right away, I want to just talk about this story. Some bands all live in the same house, and you guys don't. You're spread out all over the place. Talk about that. How did the band come together, and how is it working? Kind of being in separate places.
So we live at an intersection between Ohio, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania. A lot of people don't realize there's this little point that comes up in West Virginia. And so while the band is spread out amongst those three states, it's all a very close area. It's just the fact that you have three states kind of converging in one point. The way that we got together was kind of non-traditional. It was kind of piece by piece. We were doing a lot of studio work, putting out recordings that really were all done within the studio and had a desire to start to go and perform live. We were doing a benefit concert for a nonprofit here in town that helps those with disabilities called Harmony Health. And my best friend and a guy I've been playing music with for 20 years, Jim Courtney, he's on drums. Obviously, I'm going to call him first. And then I reached out to Paige through the social media channels, and she agreed to come and sing. And I'll let you take over the rest from there of your interpretation.
Yeah, so I obviously said yes to singing at the charity show, which was great. I actually lost my voice for that show, which was kind of funny. Not so much, but so yeah, like he said, the rest of the band kind of came together piece by piece. It was just us three for a while. And then we got our bassist, Chuck Ellis, and then our lead guitarist, Charlie. And it just kind of all came together, and we've been having a lot of fun and making some good music, I think, together since then.
No, that's true. So the new album is "We Make Fire, They Make Smoke." First of all, what's the title mean?
Let you go into it. You wrote the song.
It's a line from a song called Too Smart, Too Dumb. Truthfully, I think we had eight concepts,
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that we were looking at. And none of them were working. Uh, I think it was your suggestion to put "We Make Fire, They Make Smoke," if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we were
Uh,
tossing around different ideas for sure. And
and
then different album
yeah,
covers too. It was
it was a total, last minute, let's just get this together.
yeah.
So we ended up on the cover of the album or CD or digital is where we rehearse. So it's a little chalet in West Virginia where we rehearse, and that's the front of the CD. And the song itself is just I had a mentor once tell me that you don't want to be the smartest person in the room. There's going to be plenty of those. Be the one with the most common sense. And so I think that song tried to capture that essence of that advice somehow.
Huh. That a realtor once told me that you never want to live in the most expensive house or the cheapest house in a neighborhood either. You don't want to be the dumbest or the smartest person in a room.
Yeah. Yes, and realize there's always somebody better than you and always somebody worse off.
Yeah, that's good. You made a reference to Harmony Health. When I was looking over the band's website, that's on there pretty prominently. What's the tie to Harmony Health and how did that, I guess, a partnership kind of develop?
Yeah, so I sit on the board of directors. Enabling care for those with intellectual and developmental disabilities is something I've done for 20 years, I think, at this point. And so was an opportunity because it's a local to us nonprofit that works nationally. The fact that we had a connection, we all have some connection to the cause. The partnership just happened pretty easily as we went on, and so we try to tie in proceeds, we try to tie in merch, we try to do benefit shows when possible to just support what they're doing because it's pretty kick ass, truthfully.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I think every band, not every band, uh, many bands have the ability to do that. Just uh, I know, at least starting out, the music business is not a big money making business, so a lot of bands don't have a dime amongst all the members to do anything. But that's great. So you're donating a portion of the album proceeds,
Yeah,
or
the physical media, it's just easier to do it that way. And then our merchandise. And then we directly link, if you want to donate directly to Harmony Health, you can go to our website, click the button, and it'll take you over to their donation page, which is completely tax deductible.
yeah, that's great. I definitely wanted to get a promo of that early on here because yeah, we're living in a world where we need to all help people. Yeah.
Yes, desperately.
Uh, Getting to the music, I was going through some of your social platforms and the bands out playing. Some of the videos are Paige playing solo. When if I go to see a Maverick Smith show, your next show, do you do full band and then break out into solo spots, or is that footage from separate solo gigs, or what's happening there?
Yeah, so most of the show is the full band. So we do some cover songs, but then obviously we do our originals. But then I play about 4 songs acoustic, so that includes one of the original songs off of our new album, Sinking Feeling.
Yep. Before you stepped in the room, we were talking about Van Halen, and post Van Halen, I remember Sammy Hagar joined the band, and so you have Eddie's big guitar solo and Alex's, the big bass solo by Michael, and then it goes to Sammy Hagar, and he's like, nobody wants to hear me do a guitar solo, and he played some acoustic songs. Uh, I think that provides really nice relief to divvy up the set. I mean, just like a band would, you do your loud songs and then do your quiet ballad songs or whatever. Uh, it's just kind of a cool visual relief and a sonic relief. So that's cool that y'all are doing that.
Yeah, it's a rock and roll show. It's entertainment. It's not just a live jukebox, as they say.
Well, cool. What about the writing of the album? Is Sean, are you kind of the primary lyricist, or is it a collaboration of sorts, or individuals bring their songs in?
Well, yeah, I mean, it takes a village to get a good song in place, from the writers to the engineers to the producers and any other musicians you bring in. So I think at the end of the day, it's whatever the universe gives us in that moment with through each individual contribution is kind of how I see it. As far as the lyric writing, Paige and I do the majority of the lyrical work, and this was Paige's first album doing songwriting. Uh, as she said in another interview, she's coming out of her shell. So we were very happy when she started bringing songs in because they're pretty awesome. And so that's how I interpret our process. But I don't know if you have a different
Yeah.
aspect.
Yeah, I feel like I was really nervous to start bringing my songs to the table because, I mean, Sean is already experienced. He has a couple albums under his belt already. So I was like pushing my songs forward. I was like, you can change them if you want, or like if you want to help me, like, I don't know, like work on them, fully expecting just to, like just get some like advice on it. And then they actually ended up liking them, which was pretty cool. So they got to be on the album, which was awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. There was for a while I was an academic advisor at the University of Texas School of Music, and the weirdest thing. So you'd have freshmen come in, and they're very nervous or whatever, but the process of the 4 years before they graduate, we'd talk about classes and scheduling and stuff, but when they wanted to go out and perform, the advice I would give is even if you're an opera singer, you see Pavarotti, don't try to be Pavarotti, be you. and be you 110%, 200%, be so you. Where that's weird with a band is, most bands have a primary songwriter. That's how, hey, I've got some songs, let's go. But it's really just a solo project with musicians until you start using the resources of the band. And then you can become the band like 110%. Like we're gonna Maverick Smith the hell out of you. Uh, and I mean, that's where, new melodies come up and new, lyrical ideas and stuff like new styles. I think that's cool.
I
As
feel
a
like a lot of our songs ended up not being what we expected it to be once we added like more musicians into it and like we started listening to it. So I feel like we did get to have a lot of fun with a lot of the songs that we did record.
Yeah, has the band, can you describe that a little bit? Has the band gotten heavier or folkier, or are there more guitar solos or whatever? Are there any specific things you can point to with how the band has grown?
I'll let you talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, we've graciously and wonderfully become less defined, more genre. Like we're struggling right now with playlisting, right? One, we put a whole album out, which is ludicrous in this day and age. And each song has so many different genres, they seem to. We're breaking that AI genre calculator they use to put stuff in playlists right now, and I am taking enormous pleasure.
Uh, that's interesting. I kind of wanted to ask you as sort of a newer band, that hasn't been around 20 years or anything. Um, what are, some of the challenges that the band is facing today, and maybe like some of the successes? Like, oh, we didn't think we could do that, but we knocked that out of the park. This uh what are y'all doing day to day? Like what's coming easy and what's coming hard?
So since Paige is the most positive of us, I'll let her give the positive stuff. And since I'm the most cynical, I'll give you the negative. So go.
Yeah, I mean, I come from like marketing from a professional standpoint, so it's been really cool for me to work on a marketing standpoint for the band. So I think we've really grown on like a social media and marketing standpoint for us. So that's been really cool. So I think that was something that I've gotten to play around with and have gotten to see success with just running our ads and playing around with like TikToks and Reels, which is really fun for me. Um, and I feel like just playing live gigs too is, I think we were all nervous to play our first gig as a band together because we've been practicing, but playing in front of people is totally different. So I think we were all worried, but it ended up going a lot better than we expected it to, playing in front of people for the first time.
So the negatives. I mean, it's kind of where the industry is at, and I'm trying not to be bitter old guy here, and I'm not trying to be uncool in any way. I accept, how people want to listen to music, but it's very different in the sense it's the easiest it's ever been to get music out. It's the hardest it's ever been to get people to listen to it.
Mhm.
A lot of passive listeners, so you're trying to figure out your audience between those that are active and we're going to listen to the album 1 to 9 and actually dig the tunes, and those that it's background music and they're going to their mood playlists, right? So you're trying to sort those things out as well. More on the negative side, just sorting out the business side of it that is necessary. Right? As an indie band, you're not going to be a billionaire and you're not going to have a mansion on the hill, but you still have to try to break even as much as you possibly can. And I think it does become confusing and a bit confounding as you're trying to sort all the different distributors, all the different uh, organizations that manage your copyright, all those things, and make sure you're actually being paid what you're supposed to be paid and keeping up with that. So I think that has become much more fragmented than it used to be, in my experience. And the cynicism in me is going to say, when a system's this fragmented, it has to be on purpose. And so then you got to accept it.
Yeah. I mean it's easy and also legitimate to say, this whole business sucks, that we're never going to make it. This is horrible. Let's just break up the band. That sure, that's one way to go. But you don't because there's a fire in there and you're like, well, damn it, let's go back to war again. uh,
Yeah, it's
but
the yin and yang, just like you saw here. The
yeah,
band is made of the positives and the negatives, and you kind of, what was that famous song? You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life. So, uh, yeah, if you go by that moniker, I think you're
yep, all right. Quoting 80s sitcoms
okay.
set in girls' schools. All right. No, I like it. I like it. Uh, no, there have been a lot of times because it's a very tough business. I mean, nothing comes easy and all that kind of stuff. But I think sometimes when you're in a band, I mean, just having a band, like getting 4 or 5 people to show up consistently, a lot of people can't do that. So just I always try to, when I go to a band rehearsal, I'm not in a band right now. But when I have been in bands, just go into the rehearsal. Like, you know what? We have a band and we're going to practice today. Like, it's important to be thankful for that. We've
Yes.
got our gear, we make sound, and then, oh, can we get a gig? And then you get gigs and you're like, no, but then I want a good gig. And you kind of, it's easy to take for granted or forget, the thousand steps that you've climbed to get where you are today. And that Maverick Smith has an album. Like how hard on earth is it to put together an album? So it is a business where you can be extremely cynical and then just deliriously happy at the same time.
Very true.
But
Mhm.
uh, so yeah, you all have you've done the social media thing and you're doing the music thing. What's kind of the focus over the next 6 months or year or so? I mean, is it more promoting the album? Like, hey, go check out our album and merch online at mavericksmithband.com, by the way. Um, or are you focusing more on building a live following regionally or both? Like, what's going on with that?
I think we're doing a little bit of both. Obviously we're really super proud of our album that came out. So we want to promote that as much as possible, but we're in it for the music. We love playing music, so we want to be playing live gigs. We want to be doing that as much as possible. So I think it's just finding a balance between the two, that we're all happy with. Because more than happy to do social media and promote the album and do all of that. But I know, a lot of us are in it just for the music, and that's totally fine. And we want to play the music, and that's what we're going to do too. So we're going to do a little bit of both.
Yeah, it is interesting. Like, I think even within a band, if you went around the room and asked, why are you here today? Some people are like, well, the gig this weekend pays $50. I need $50.
Yeah.
Um, and then, the next person might be to fulfill my soul. It's we all do this and it changes day to day, right? Like, uh, no, that's awesome. Um, what about the scene? I mean, you kind of have a scene across 3 state lines and everything there. Um, is there kind of a thriving music scene? Are you doing shows at clubs on bills with 5 or 6 bands? Or are you mostly doing kind of restaurant, brewery sorts of vibes? Like what is the scene where you are?
Yeah, it's a mixed scene. We did this area is not yet recovered from the pandemic. We lost a lot of venues during that time, and we're kind of left now with a lot of Live Nation venues that are sitting in the area. So you kind of lost those, mid-level seating clubs where you get 5 bands in, fill it up, everybody has a good night kind of thing. So you're kind of at either level and you kind of bounce back and forth. But the surrounding area is always welcoming. Weirton, Steubenville, Wheeling, or some places, Akron, that are all places where you can get good gigs, get good amount of people to show up. And so I think that's how we are looking to explore out, get a nice local base, go slightly more regional than regional, and then you hope the next step happens for you, but never can tell.
Yeah. With with the audience that Cupchairs interviews get, for one, the company's based in London, so people who haven't ever heard of Maverick Smith are going to see this. Um, when I mean, you talked about the band coming up with a lot of different songs in different genres as it kind of evolves. Um, how do you pitch when you say, "Hey, I'm in a band," and somebody says, "What do y'all like? What is Maverick Smith? What is the sound?"
I like to describe it as like alternative indie, because I feel like that kind of is a broad enough spectrum of what we do play. And I feel like that does kind of describe a lot of our music. Um, but I feel like we have influences, like I said, from all over. Like we have punk influences, we have country influences in our new album. But then, like I said, we also have like indie, some pop, and then obviously like alternative rock influences too. So it is kind of hard to describe exactly what we play, but we are like a genre mixing band, so it's fun to kind of play around with that as well.
Yeah, I don't think we think about it as much as others may think we do.
Uh-huh.
I don't think we think about it at all. It's the song. I think we listen to it and what sounds right. Uh, there's a lot of weird instruments on the album that you can kind of pick out that are some are, Japanese influenced instruments, and we have orchestras that are performing. And if I can just say this because we are we're getting this a lot, which is people are asking, where did you get those samples or what type of synths are you using on the album? There are none. Those are real classical trained musicians putting a bow to a stringed instrument or blowing on a horn. That's all real people, real instruments doing what they do.
Uh, I'm actually glad you said that. That was one of the things I was going to ask. Um, what what did you do? Did you hire a local string quartet or
I like how you said, what did you do as if I was doing something illegal or bad?
what did
Uh,
you do? How did you
uh,
get string people to play on a rock album?
uh, I asked nicely and made sure that, they had effective compensation for their time. I think what I found was a group of uh, admittedly and candidly, these are folks that are in legitimate orchestras. So it's kind of a side hustle. So they're not named, so we call them the Maverick Smith Orchestra. But there was one celloist that I had started working with on the first album that Maverick Smith did. And it just so happened that she was leaving one country to another and ended up getting in with one of the bigger orchestras and was able to get us the help. And so you patch them in. We work with Aardvark Studios in Steubenville, Ohio, and they have a wonderful, real authentic studio where we can patch these things in and make them happen. And so what we found was there's a lot of classically trained folks who dig rock and roll and don't mind doing it on the side.
Wow. I've got questions. I've been in bands with maybe a single stringed instrument. When you work with a group like that, I mean, is it as easy as, hey, the song's in the key of G, here's the progression, here I want a melody or whatever? Uh, or did you have parts in mind that didn't work? Like, oh no, we need to rewrite this so that it works. How difficult was it to put together a stringed ensemble to complement the music in the right way?
Uh, on this album, it was a lot easier. I think the first album, um, it was difficult to communicate within the academic mindset for an indie rock band who Johnny Ramone is my favorite guitarist of all time. So you can kind of see the dichotomy there. Uh, so we worked through it. We got the charts to where they needed to be. There was one individual who just really dug it, helped me kind of work through the charts and the sheets. And then by the next time with this album, we had gotten into a relationship just like with some of the other musicians where it's like, hey, I'm feeling a little Depeche Mode with, Van Hammer, can we try to get that up? And they're good enough musicians and understand our sound and what we're going for that it became sort of that where we learned each other's music encyclopedia of how to communicate effectively. But it wasn't me holding a magic wand up there and making them go like Mickey Mouse. No, there was a lot of help and a lot of learning and understanding I had to do to communicate with them.
Yeah, that's interesting. A band I was in the 90s, we brought in a violin player, and we were kind of uh, we were like 10,000 Maniacs, just kind of
Okay.
mid-level, popular rock. He had an orchestral background with no rock background at all. And so we just kind of gave him some Dave Matthews records. It's like, hey, go listen to that and then come back. Uh, and it was pretty easy to adapt with one to get a context and all that. But yeah, in another example, I was doing a session with an artist who we were doing kind of a punk rock song. It was a female singer led fast punk rock tune. And she was very excited because she wanted to involve a relative of hers, a cousin who was kind of a world-renowned opera singer. Like, oh, I want to have my cousin come in and sing, or whoever it was. And man, that did not work out well at all. Because you had kind of edgy vocals and just crunchy, noisy guitars, and then this beautiful soaring voice in the middle. Just it it was bad. I mean, we ended up not using any of the parts and felt bad for wasting our time, but it was like, no, in this setting, it didn't gel like the way that you're describing. It did gel for Maverick Smith. So that's really cool. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh, uh, I also I'm always interested in bands, sort of the things you figure out. So maybe it's venues that pay well. Like, oh, that place, we get dinner and get a lot of money, and we don't have to play that long. Um, or getting placed on a Spotify playlist. Um, can you talk about maybe some wins that the band has had recently? Like, this happened, and we can't believe it. It worked.
Yeah, so I think, like you mentioned, the Spotify playlist, we did get added to a lot of playlists, and I think some of the songs we didn't expect to do well, or Sean didn't expect to do well. I did.
It's true. She did. She had it figured.
Um,
I did not.
we weren't really sure what songs were going to hit, and some of them that we weren't so sure would hit did, and they got added to some playlists that we were kind of shocked about. What song got added to some Mex playlist in Mexico?
I was sinking feeling.
Sinking Feeling got added to some playlist in Mexico, which was a shocker to me. Like, I really expect us to have any international fans, so that was really cool for us.
Well, do you mind if I ask what process you went through to get that song on that playlist? Or or if that's a trade secret.
No, it's not. It's exhausting. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
You're pitching, you're using all the usual, Submit Hub, Groover, trying to go through all those pieces as best you can. But the most success I've had is trying to get lists or talking to other people saying, hey, there's this, you can email them or whatever, your sound is right. And those seem to be the ones to get on those big, what they call those search engine optimization playlists.
Yeah.
They don't do a lot of the platforms there. It's interesting. I find them to be like the old radio DJs from the 60s, the big playlister folks. And so your goal is a lot of the big playlists, they obviously have a younger workforce that's just kind of churning through what they're doing. So the goal is how do you get into, the right ears? And it's tough. It's a lot of work. You're emailing, you're proposing, you're trying to get your pitch just right, your elevator pitch of what the song is and what genre it is. And then you're checking everything you can to make sure you can get it in place. But I think we're probably same way as many other bands. I think we're around 10% or 11% placement for our pitches.
Yeah. So hard work, dedication, and perseverance.
Yeah.
That's the trick.
Yeah, there's no for this, there's no way around that. It's time and work.
Um, yeah, that's yeah. I kind of mind these interviews for tricks, and people don't have tricks.
There's not.
It's just hard as hell.
Yes, 19,000 songs go on Spotify every day.
Jeez.
So, you know,
Uh,
you got to work.
I I I recorded some drums on an album with a friend of mine's band a few years ago, and it was funny. They were all high school buddies that got together, 20, 30 years later and put out an album, and it was just like you would imagine. They just recorded songs and they just put it out there. And they don't know how it happened, but it was on Apple Music. One of their songs got on some wildly popular Apple Music playlist, and they made like 10 or $20,000 because that
Wow.
song got so many spins.
It's a lot of spends to get that much.
Um, and that, I mean, that turns out to be the lightning in a bottle sort of thing. That
Yeah.
doesn't happen. I mean, I happen to know one person who did it, and they don't know how it happened. Um, so it gave them enough money to record their next album. So that was the grace, and the win from that. Um, but it didn't. They weren't a performing active band. So getting that success, there wasn't another thing to throw in there to say, oh yeah, and come see us, and here's our merch or anything like that. Um, so yeah, no, it's good to know and sobering. You just have to keep at it and keep plugging
Yeah,
away. That's kind of how the deal works.
it is.
Uh, well, cool. I do want to plug the band is at mavericksmithband.com. All the socials are consistently Maverick Smith Band, Instagram and all around. Um, I guess we talked a little bit about what's coming up. Uh, do you have any things kind of further ahead? I know it's horrible to say you just released an album. Are there songs ready for the next album? Are you gonna not record? You're done with recording for another year, or what's kind of the long range plan right now, if at all?
I think we always kind of have something in the back of our minds, like what are we doing next? I think we do have a couple songs that we're kind of tossing around, and figuring out what we want to do with them, whether we want to do an EP or an album. So we're still figuring that out. But I think we definitely do want to have some new music on the way soon.
No, I get this vibe from the band, a very positive energy that, um, I mean, just the two of you think proactively in different ways. And so you have ideas coming from this direction and this direction. And I mean, that's the best thing a band can do. I mean, if you're all on the same cylinder, firing on the same cylinders, you're just going to go one direction. And if it's wrong, you're stuck. So it is, I think it's great to have, not even differing opinions, just, you know, input that you wouldn't have thought yourself.
Yeah, I think
It's
like you
so,
said, it's important to have different perspectives, and I think it's really nice with our band is we're able to listen to the different perspectives and kind of gain insight from each other, which is great.
yeah. Uh, that's awesome. Well, hey y'all, it's been wonderful to visit. Everybody go listen to We Make Fire, They Make Smoke, Maverick Smith's album. It's out now. Folks in Mexico, thank you for listening to this
And
playlist.
Sweden, and Brazil. We love this. Hey, Wally, you want to meet the rest of the band? We're rehearsing right after we hang up with you. They're sitting on the other side of this camera. Can they say hi?
Oh, absolutely. We got
Hey,
band
nice guys, come
members.
say hi.
No, this is
Thanks, everybody. Here's the
yeah,
rest of
yeah,
the band.
absolutely. Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Paige.